In this video, we are going to cover 7 features that you need to be using in order to get the most out of Zoho. So if you are a Zoholic, like and subscribe to the channel. And with that, let's get into it. The first feature that you need to be using inside of Zoho CRM is the Kanban feature. If you are not using Kanban views inside of Zoho CRM, then you are not using Zoho CRM correctly. Now, the big idea behind using a Kanban view is this list of information is not helpful. If you jump in and see a list view of information inside of your system, what are you supposed to do about it? Let's say that I was supposed to reach out to the leads in my system. Okay, I have 49 leads that are assigned to me. What do I do next? Based on this view, you have no idea what you should be doing next. Maybe you have a cadence that you can add them to, but this isn't very directional. It's not very helpful. It is probably the least helpful way to view the information on the page. So what we can do is we can go up here to the top right. We can click on Kanban view, and then we can visualize our information according to our processes. And this is really important to understand because the CRM, your CRM isn't just helpful in that it stores your information. It also stores your processes, and then it displays information according to your processes. So for example, let's say I'm a sales rep and I need to know what leads are assigned to me and what I need to do next. Now that I'm using a Kanban view, I can say, okay, I have 4 leads that are marketing ready. So they're not quite ready for me to call them and to book a demo, but they are ready for me to start sending, they're ready for me to send marketing communication. So I can use Zoho campaigns, I can put them in a drip campaign and automatically warm them up so that when they are ready, I can reach out. You can also see I have 13 leads that are sales ready. Or in other words, these are people that we have deemed ready for me to reach out from my sales email, not just the marketing email, and try to get them to book a meeting so that I can try to sell them my service or my product. So this is much more helpful. You can see this goes from left to right. Essentially, the buyer's journey is being represented in this Kanban view so that I can see at a glance where my different records are at in my process and what I need to do next to move them along the buyer's journey. So I can see the different leads that I'm working, the different leads that I've reached, and then leads that were recycled or rejected. Now, you can make a copy of what I'm about to show you here for the journey map. And to kind of go off this Kanban philosophy of viewing information, you should start broad, then go deep with your processes. So at first, it's really helpful if you just outline the different statuses and stages across the different modules in your system. You can make a copy of this in the description below. That way you don't have to start from scratch. It's not helpful to look at a blank sheet of paper and say, hey, go ahead and design your processes. It's really helpful to view someone else's process, to tweak it for yourself, and then over time you can adjust it as needed. But the idea here is that if you have this document, especially if it's added to your system, we're going to talk about Webtabs in just a moment, which is another must-use feature inside of Zoho CRM. If you have this information on hand for your processes, it makes it less, you basically ensure that people will be locked into an effective process instead of asking your users to imagine or develop their own process for the system. You don't want it to be the Wild West. You want to unify your processes. And once you use Kanban views in this fashion, you can even develop reports on top of it so that you can say, hey, this is the process that we've developed for our organization for managing leads, for managing deals, for managing accounts that we're selling to. And now we can see how well that process is doing. So at a high level, we can just see, what's the drop-off rate between different statuses and stages? How well are we doing downstream in the process versus upstream in the process? And then we can see what's the current problem that we need to solve for in the business. Is the problem that our marketing ready leads aren't becoming sales ready? If so, what are things that we can do to move our marketing ready leads over to sales ready leads? And then you can strategically pinpoint issues and develop solutions instead of doing it at random. Here's another really helpful report. You can basically see your process. Here's the same stages we were seeing in a Kanban view in relation to the lead sources and how well each marketing activity is doing in pushing people along the customer journey. So that's really the main idea here is you want to use Kanban views so that you're not just seeing information in a list view as if you're using a spreadsheet. You want to see your information in relation to your processes. That way you can help people along the customer journey. When you're inside of a system like Zoho CRM, you want to reduce the amount of jumping around to other applications, at least to a reasonable degree. You're not going to be able to keep all of your applications within reach in one application, such as Zoho CRM, but you can reduce the amount of jumping around from system to system or application to application by using what's called Webtabs. And that is a must-use feature inside of Zoho CRM. For example, a very common use case for Webtabs, you can see here are Webtabs, just like the different modules that you have, except you can designate one of these tabs to opening another application or another link. So what's helpful about this for most organizations is being able to open up a tab to Zoho Analytics. Now, if you've watched any of my videos on Zoho Analytics, I'm a big advocate of jumping into Zoho Analytics and learning how to use that robust tool for reporting, because most people grow out of the in-application reporting features and they end up in Zoho Analytics eventually. So it's good to just get a head start, learn it. I've got a masterclass. It's like 2 hours on it if you want to check it out. Actually, it's not 2 hours. I think it's like an hour and a half. But the idea is if you learn Zoho Analytics initially, you're going to set yourself up for success in reporting in the future. So the reason that I bring that up is you can add a web tab to your system. I've just called mine dashboard, and that allows you to view information from another application inside of Zoho CRM. Another strong use case for using web tabs is what I have here for my journey map. So I believe in every single system, there should be complete transparency on the overarching process, the overarching customer journey. So for my clients, I highly recommend, I do this for myself as well, that their process is documented at a high level. I'm not going to lie, if you make a copy of this document and you can in the description below, you can actually just steal mine verbatim. You don't even have to change anything initially. You can just adjust it as needed. But the idea here is this document is not a Zoho application. It's actually Google Sheets. Now, we can go on a tangent for why I use the Google Productivity Suite versus the Zoho Productivity Suite, because Zoho has multiple suites within its Zoho One offering. I don't use all of its suites. There's certain suite of applications that I think are up to snuff and they're A-lister applications. And there's some applications I don't think are quite ready to go, or some suites that I really want to use. And so the Productivity Suite, I use Google Sheets to do initial documentation. As you can see here, I have all these different tabs in this document that I use to make better decisions in the business and to visualize my process and have definitions for my process and triggers and segmentation lists. And you might think to yourself, well, that's kind of overkill. Like I'm a one-man band. I don't really need that. Well, if you're planning on scaling your organization, you need some kind of process to plug your team into. And that's the whole idea of the system in general, is to help people understand what is the customer journey, what are you trying to help people accomplish, and what are our definitions for these different statuses and stages so it's not disorienting for users. So the meaning behind the web tab is you can jump into different applications in different parts of your overarching tech stack right from Zoho CRM. The way that you actually accomplish that is if you go up to setup, and then you go over to modules and fields under customization, and then you go over to web tabs. Then you can add a web tab, dashboard, feedback, journey. Sometimes in a system, I'll add like a feedback form. So it's really just a Zoho form, but I will make it easily accessible so that anyone in the system can give feedback for the Zoho instance so it can inform future decisions on improving the system. So that's a nice thing that you can do there as well for web tabs. So the main idea of a web tab is instead of having multiple parts of your tech stack, different applications, all siloed, you bring them into reach within Zoho CRM using the web tab functionality. This is the coolest feature inside of Zoho CRM that I don't recommend that many people use. And it's something that when it came out, everyone wanted to use it. Everyone was super excited about it. But when reality set in, it became more of a burden than a benefit for most organizations. And that is Canvas view. So you're either going to love me or hate me when I go over this. But I have this kind of debate of building a case for why you need to use it or shouldn't use it for most of my clients. So Canvas view allows you to pretty up the CRM. That's really the main idea of Canvas view. So if you go to customization and you go to canvas, Zoho has done something really interesting and somewhat groundbreaking in the UI UX front for CRMs. In that if you try to create a record detail page, you no longer have to go with the default view page. You can play UI UX designer. And at first, that sounds amazing because look at all these various records we have to go off of. Aren't they super cool? Well, here's the problem. If you're going to play UI UX designer, you have to play UI UX designer. Do you want to wear another hat in the organization? Probably not. But you may think to yourself, well, I want to try this initially. I want to try one of these templates. Well, here's the trap that Canvas gets you into. So this is interesting. I'm saying it's a must use because I think it is interesting to try it for the list view page. And there is a lot of use in visualizing the different elements in a certain way. But I don't think the detail page view is a must use. So just to be clear, I do think it's an awesome feature. You should try it, but realize what you're getting yourself into. And it's not always the best thing you can do in Zoho CRM to go down the Canvas view rabbit hole. But it's such a big feature inside of Zoho CRM, I couldn't not bring it up. So this is the main issue with Canvas view is if you were to, let's say, add a field to the main view, you would then have to go in and you'd have to jump into the specific tab and then add it again to a specific element of the page. And then you'd have to do that on repeat. So this is a small thing seemingly, but if you're changing fields a lot, and most organizations will be adding and removing fields quite a bit from the layout, it's just more difficult to do this at scale with Canvas view when you have multiple different layout types across multiple different record detail page views. You have to go in, you have to organize things. And instead of just drag, drop, forget, it's jump into the specific tab, take the field over from the Canvas view, bring it in, change the dimensions. And then if it doesn't fit with everything else, then you have to move it down on the page and it can just become a huge burden very quickly. So it's going to get better. But I still think it's one of those things that it looks nice when we look at it right here from like the gallery view. But when people actually try to develop it, it looks horrible. And I honestly think the default view is going to do it for 99% of people. Okay, so there's two parts of Canvas view. There's there's actually, Canvas bleeds into a lot of things, but the two main things are the detail page view, which means you click into a record, you see the details for that specific record. And then you've got the list view that you can also develop Canvas for. I'm going to close out of here. I'm going to show you the list view. So list view, detail view. For the list view, you can do a custom list, you can do tiles and tables, and this is cool. This is really, really interesting. If you want to do like a tile view, you can create that various view right here, and you have a different gallery that you can choose from. And essentially what you're seeing here is instead of like a list of information, you're breaking up each record into an individual block, and you're customizing what each individual block should look like when you look at information. I find this really interesting. Maybe it's a misnomer to say must have, but it's something you should definitely check out. It's just one of those things. It's very unique about Zoho that they even care about the UI and UX of the different records and record view page. So I think eventually it's going to get to a place where you have a template. You'll click on that template and it will apply it to everything. It will apply it to the list view, the detail view, and you'll basically be able to go through different templates for the entire system, which I think would be extremely awesome. I think it would be a very strong, unique selling proposition. So I can see the vision of where they're trying to go. That is where they're going to end up. Like they started with releasing Canvas view for certain list view elements, led into detail view. Now it's got list view. They're heading in a direction where they're going to have full on templates for the entire system. And so I'm really excited about that. But with that, that is how you can enable Canvas view and how it works. Let's say you have leads in your system or accounts that you're trying to go after. You're a salesperson and you're doing some prospecting. Here's a question for you. If you jump into a view like this, it's helpful, right? You can see your process from left to right. Let's say a lead gets to the sales ready stage, or you have an account that you're targeting and it's sales ready. You're ready to go after their ideal customer profile. You can check the box. They're ideally who you want to do business with. And now you're going to reach out to them and try to sell them. Okay, here's the question. What do you do when a lead or account is sales ready? And you might think to yourself, well, duh, you just reach out and you try to sell them. Well, what specifically are you going to do? For example, if it goes into sales ready, are you going to first send out a LinkedIn message, and then you're going to send out an email, and then you're going to send them an SMS, and then you're going to give them a call, and then you're going to do a LinkedIn message again? And then just because those are the different channels you're going to use, what days are you going to send them out? And then how are you going to keep track of all that? That's the question. So how we used to solve for this problem is we would first define it in a document. We'd say, outline your cadence, because some people won't just do one prospecting activity per day. They'll do 3. So they'll say, hey, on day 1, we're going to do an email, we're going to send an SMS and a LinkedIn message. Day 2, we're going to give them a call, and then we're going to quit day 3. Whatever the cadence looks like, we used to have to add those tasks to the system. And then when a lead was marked MQL, we would trigger a workflow rule to add all those tasks underneath the record. And you would see something like this, which is just December 15, 2023, follow up on LinkedIn. We'd add something like that. That's how we used to do things. Now there is a brand new shiny feature inside of Zoho CRM, and it's called Cadences Studio. So under automation, you've got Cadences. And what you can do with Cadence Studio is you can build out your outreach cadence for a specific record. You can be proactive about it. You can plan it and document it, and then apply that to various records. So this is how it works. We'll just do new cadence. We'll do lead or MQL outreach cadence. By the way, MQL, marketing qualified lead, that just means marketing did their job, qualified a lead. You may be thinking to yourself, well, I'm a one-man band. I'm not going to market MQL. Market MQL just means sales ready. Just helps you draw the line in the sand between a lead that's sales ready and a lead that needs to be warmed up. So basically like cold lead, hot lead. Okay, so from here, who is this for? You can do manually enrolled leads or leads in a custom view. So you could do leads that meet criteria that you've defined, or you can manually enroll leads as needed. We're going to do manually enrolled leads. So from here, I can add a follow-up and I can say, let's do an email, add a task or a call. So a task would be for example, if I was to send a LinkedIn message, they're not going to have an out-of-box LinkedIn message feature here. So they would do a task. So follow-up, day 1. Okay, I would immediately after enrollment, send them X template, ZTraining access. Has a high open rate of almost 70%. So I'd save that and I'd choose the recipient. It would be on the lead. I'd send them an email. I would go ahead and save that. And then from here, follow up 2, I would send them another email. And instead of immediately, I would do a couple days after. Maybe I would do that on day 2. And then I'd go here, choose lead as the recipient, and then select another template. And I would do test welcome email. This is a bad example, but you get the idea. I would essentially design the cadence. Do this, cannot be empty, select action. So basically what it's defining here is after the previous email is opened, send, unsubscribe, I'm just going to do sent. I don't want to make it contingent on them opening or replying or clicking on the email. I just want to say, hey, if this email was sent, we're going to send this day 2. Because at some point, you've got to realize you're not going to prospect someone forever. An account, a lead, you're not going to do prospecting for eternity. So you need to define how many follow-up attempts are you going to give to marketing qualified leads or sales ready leads before you give up. Because you don't want to burn too much time on people. You don't want to do outreach attempt 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 if you know it's just a waste of time after outreach number 6. What you can actually build reports on, you can get to advanced reporting where you're able to see, hey, how many outreach attempts on average does it take before we convert a lead to a deal? And then based on the average, you can design your cadence accordingly. Initially, just do anywhere from 3 to 7 different outreach attempts. Just start with that. And then from there, you can tweak it as you go. You can say, hey, after 3 outreach attempts, a lead still needs a little more love. You can give it more of a shot. That really just gives you a baseline starting point. It's arbitrary, but until you have a better starting place, you're going to have to start with something more arbitrary like 3 to 7. Okay, so you got follow-up 2, and then you've got follow-up 3. So here I would just say, hey, we're going to make a call, and you can schedule the call to happen, let's say another day after the email was sent. So day 1, email, day 2, email, day 3, call. And then from here, you can do call purpose. We'll do call prospecting. And then X is the agenda. We don't need anything there. We'll do logged in user. And then call start time. You can do it a day. Excellent. So we've got our cadence there. And then from here, let's say we wanted to do a send LinkedIn message. So we did send LinkedIn message. And then we would notify the assignee. And from here, we do trigger date plus business day and the due date. Oh, actually, we do it this way. Apologies. We'd go to immediately, and then we just do a day after the call was scheduled. Excellent. We could also tweak this. We could do the call was completed. That'd make more sense. But you get the idea. You can define a trigger point and you can save that. And now you have your cadence. Send email day 1, send email day 2, send or schedule a call. You can make the call on day 3. Then day 4, you're going to send a LinkedIn message. And on and on and on. And you can also have all this crazy logic so that if the call was completed, then it's send a LinkedIn message. And if the call wasn't completed, then you call them again day for the fourth follow-up. And you can go on and on and on, do all this complex logic. I would just set one cadence initially. Start broad, go deep. So start broad with one cadence for 5 follow-ups, 3 follow-ups, 4 follow-ups, whatever you want to do there. Somewhere between 3 to 7. And then from there, you can dive into all the variations. So if on day 2, they get the email and it bounces, then you can actually schedule a call instead of sending another email, something like that. But with that, just get an initial process for your outreach. That way you can answer this question for reps. When, or for yourself, if you're a one-man shop, I mean, a lot of the people are one-person shop. A lot of people inside of a system, they don't have a huge team that they're managing. This is still valuable because the answer you're trying to provide for yourself or for your users is when it's time to prospect. What do you do next specifically? You want to build that into your system instead of just having it documented somewhere for reference. That way you can just plug people in and they can be productive. They're locked into a system that works for them instead of against them. When you're doing B2B, oftentimes you're going to send out an agreement from Zoho CRM. And the best way to do that is through mail merge. And mail merge has the worst name because it's not very indicative to what the feature actually does. But mail merge is a must-use feature if you're going to be sending out documents. And you're going to do document automation generation from Zoho CRM. So where on earth do you actually do this? Well, I am inside of a deal right now. Let's say instead of closed won, I was at the proposal stage. So I needed to generate the proposal, send it out, and then everything after that, as far as the discussions are concerned, would be considered negotiation. But I'm in the proposal stage. I would go up to the top right. I just had my second meeting with X company, Salt Marketplace in this case, and then I would go over to mail merge. Now, once I click on mail merge is going to say, hey, what template do you want to merge information from this record onto what template? Like what template do you want to use for the mail merge? And mail merge is just saying, hey, there's data from XYZ fields inside of this record. And you have this template where you've said, hey, I want to merge information here, here, and here. So what template do you want to match up with the record that you're on? So there's multiple ways to do this, but this is the most common way to do it. We're going to use an NDA in this case. So let's say we send out the proposal. We want to send an NDA as well so that our client knows, hey, we're not going to be sharing your information with other people or stealing your information. Awesome. You go NDA and then you go to merge. And what's going to happen is Zoho Writer is going to pop up and it's going to show you the template first. So I can look over the template and I can make changes to this as well. So here's the merge template. The nice thing is this doesn't necessarily update the mail merge template unless you select update template. I can go here and I can go through here and make the changes that I want. And this may seem insignificant, but it's so nice not to have to change the actual template every single time. You can make like a unique mail merge for each record that you're using as many times as you want. So choose output merges new document, merge and send via email. You got all these different options, but the main thing that you want to be concerned about here is first you want to make sure you got mail merge fields. So these fields merge in information from various records right onto the document. So you can see I got a mail merge field here, got mail merge here, and here, and here. I got a bunch of them. And the idea is when I hit run merge, you can just steal my NDA, by the way, if you want. Like, hey, I need an NDA template. Go ahead and steal this one. You can go to run merge. And now what Zoho is doing is it's taking information from the deal, it's merging it right into the template. Now you may think to yourself, well, why didn't it just do that initially? Well, it's essentially giving you a shot to edit the document before you merge the information. And if you don't want to edit the document before you merge the information, you can just go right here to the Send with Zoho Sign integration, and you can just immediately send it for signature and it will merge it, and it won't give you the opportunity to edit the document before you send it out for signature. A lot of organizations, they need to manually tweak parts of the document before they send out an agreement. If you don't need to do that and you have a boilerplate or unchanging document that you're sending out for signature, you'd use the Zoho Sign integration. But with that, you can see information's now been merged in. So where I previously had a merge field, now it's Salt Marketplace, and it's Salt Marketplace here, and Drew Brockmink merged in. All this information merged in just the way that I want. What's really cool from here as well, really going over a bunch of features, but generally the umbrella feature here is mail merge. So what I'm able to do from here, which is really, really awesome, is I can actually send it for signature right from this document. From the distribution tab, I can go over to upload to sign services. And you can see I'm already logged into Zoho Sign because I have Zoho One. And so I don't have to use DocuSign. I could if I wanted to. I could use Adobe Sign. But these products are, I mean, you might as well just use Zoho Sign if you're paying for it. If you are in Zoho One, you've already won. You can use Zoho Sign because you already have paid for it. So I just use Zoho Sign. It's much easier. And then from here, I'm essentially from here clicking on logged in and send through Zoho Sign. I'm pretty much doing exactly what I would be doing here with send with Zoho Sign. So the only difference between mail merge and going right to send with Zoho Sign is with send with Zoho Sign, you don't have the opportunity to edit the document before you send it for signature. When you are sending through mail merge, you do the mail merge first, you have the opportunity to edit the document before you send it out for signature without editing the base template that you're using for, let's say, the NDA or the proposal or whatever agreement you're sending out. So that is a must-use feature, is the mail merge feature within Zoho CRM. People go crazy about the topic of automation and just the idea of being able to automate things that you do manually and it takes up your time. Being able to automate it just makes us really love systems like this, but that's oftentimes not the reality of automation. The reality of automation is you shouldn't automate everything, and you should only strategically automate what's automatable, which may or may not be a word, but the idea is that some things aren't meant to be automated. For example, if you have a process that is not good, if it's a bad process and you cement that bad process into your organization via automation, that is a net negative to the organization, or it's a bad thing. It's not a good thing. And so what you want to do is identify good opportunities for automation. I'm going way down the rabbit hole before I'm going to demonstrate how to actually use the workflow builder for automations in Zoho. But I think it's good to give you some context. When you're looking for opportunities, you can essentially list all the different opportunities for automation that you think are good. Earlier in this video, I also showed a report where you can see the organization from left to right. Let me just take you through a full example here. I don't think it's a bad idea to show you all this stuff because I'm going to show you this is the concept behind the tactical. This is the idea behind automation, is that you can look at the organization, you can identify the constraints of the organization. You could also get, that's a very high level, low resolution view of the organization. You can also get more detailed and say, hey, for organic search traffic here, our main driver of leads, for our partners, main driver of leads in close won deals, we want to make sure that we streamline this process and we know there's an issue here based on our drop-off rate. However you want to justify the automation. First, use data, either that you're gathering from reports or from your people on your team or from yourself, and you know the different pain points. List out all the different automation opportunities that you have. Then use something like an effort impact matrix. And you don't have to go through this process formally, but it is good to go through this process at the very least mentally. So there's a lot of different places you can find this. This is a very popular thing to use. We use an effort impact matrix. And what you're going to do is first, you're going to list all the opportunities on the side. So you'll have a document and you'll have all the different opportunities for automation that you have. And then you'll whip out the impact effort matrix and everyone's going to be like, what are you doing? maybe just do this for yourself. I've done this for myself in my personal life. I'm a crazy person that way. I've also done this for businesses on workshops, and I've done it for myself personally for the different professional things I'm trying to achieve. This is a very useful framework for making decisions. And the reason it's helpful to use something like this is, especially within Zoho, there are a million things that you can do. There's infinite possibilities, but you have very finite resources, being your time, the energy that you can use to develop Zoho. So you have to make hard decisions. What is worth developing? Because there's so many directions you can go. And that's what we call strategy. Strategy is simply prioritization of the different options. Strategy is allocating finite resources to infinite possibilities within Zoho. So a framework to help you make the best decision possible is effort impact matrix. So you've got your different list of opportunities for automation, and then you're going to say, hey, for every single one of these options, I'm going to drag it onto the effort impact matrix on the y-axis. So on the y-axis, you're going to say, on a scale 1 being the lowest and 10, how impactful would it be if we had this implemented, if we had an automation implemented for this opportunity? If it's a 10, it would go up here. If it was a 1, it'd go down here. And you'll sort all these different lists of opportunities on the y-axis. And then what you would do is, after you have it sorted here, you'll start to move each of these items from left to right in terms of effort. So the 2 quadrants up top are what you're worried about in terms of automation. So what you would have is, if there's a low effort opportunity, like it wouldn't take much effort to automate. This is where an expert comes in, right? Because you're going to have a hard time understanding the effort level to automate something if you're not a Zoho expert. But if you're in the business day to day, you're going to have a good idea of the impact. A Zoho expert who specializes in your industry is going to have a good idea of the impact and the effort. But the impact is mostly going to be decided by you. So with that in mind, you shouldn't have too much of a hard time with the impact or the y-axis. Now, you may want to consult an expert for the effort, but you may have a good idea if you have if you have a decent amount of training with Zoho, you may be able to get away with prioritizing the effort. But let's say something was low effort and it's high impact. Well, that's an easy win. That's something you should do now. If something is going to be very impactful for the organization, if you automate, and it takes a low amount of effort to actually create the automation, do it immediately. That's an easy win. That should go on your action item list. That should be done in the next 2 weeks or as soon as possible. Then you've got high impact. These are things that you got high impact, high effort. And these are major projects. These are projects that are going to take a while. And so it might be a third-party integration automation that you're building out with a application that doesn't integrate out of the box with Zoho. This could be a large proposal automation process where your proposal isn't boilerplate, it's conditional, and it's going to take weeks and weeks to develop. There's a lot of different projects in Zoho or in your organization, really, for automations that you're going to build that would fit into major projects. So it's a high amount of effort, or it's at least a 5 or higher for major projects. Then anything lower would be a quick and easy win. So it just helps you make decisions better. You can say, hey, this is going to be a longer term project. Let's whip out Zoho projects, get this done. Or you can do quick and easy wins. Hey, put this on a sticky note, put this in your projects to do within the next 2 weeks and get it done. And then you've got backlog items. That's what I call fill in. And then things, if it's like high effort, low impact, why on earth are you doing it? It's just going to take a long time and it's not going to make a big difference in the business. And then you've got low effort, but is low impact. And it's like, hey, this is on the backlog. Could be interesting in the future, could become impactful in the future, but right now it's not a big deal. Okay, so that's all the pre-work, the homework you need to do before you get into automation. Do you have to do this whole high impact, low effort matrix workshop thing for every automation? No, you don't. But when you're trying to do a million things at once and you're overwhelmed, this is a way to get clarity on what should be done next. It's not perfect, but it's better than anything else that you've probably done before. And so it's worth understanding before we get into automation. Okay, so with that preamble, I know that's like a really deep rabbit hole, but I think it's helpful. You go into Zoho CRM, now you know what's a low impact or high impact, low effort workflow that you can build. So for example, one of those low impact or high impact. Why do I keep mixing that up? High impact, low effort automations would be to send an email every time a lead comes in the door. So I would create a new rule. Module would be lead. And then I do create or send welcome email to lead. Also, I like to add for rule names. When another format or way you can frame this is when lead is created, then send welcome email. And it kind of sounds like when you frame something like this, it almost sounds like a caveman is saying it. But the idea is to that every single automation has three major components. These two are necessary or mandatory. And then you have one in the middle that's optional, which we're going to talk about. But essentially, you have the trigger, then you have the action. You at least need those two things in order to have a successful automation. And then you have an if in the middle, which you can add, but that's just the condition. So it's like maybe there's only certain leads you want to send a welcome email to. So you could say, when a lead is marketing ready, then send a welcome email. But it's kind of like, this is like pseudo format for the automation. So you can list out the automations in that format before you actually go into the workflow builder. And all of that homework essentially sets you up for success because now you're doing the most strategic thing for the organization. You're doing, you're going in order of what's most impactful, and you're going in order of effort instead of just saying, this would be nice to set up. So that's more for key decision makers. This isn't like a hit on where you're at in the organization, but the higher up in the organization you are, the more you're going to be dealing with strategy. The lower you are in the organization, the more you're just going to be focusing on tactical. You're going to be the kind of person in the organization that's like, well, if you just tell me what to do, I'm going to do it. Well, what you don't understand is if you're at that point in the organization, there's someone else who has to make all of the homework decisions and tell you what to do. And that's a lot of work as well. That's the strategy, is telling someone, this is what you should be doing. This is what's most impactful based on your skills, based on what the organization needs, based on how much effort you need to do this. So the more you rise up in an organization, the more you need to understand the conceptual and how to be a strategic person and not just a tactical person. But it's good to be a tactical person first and then kind of rise up, because you need to have the ability to jump in and actually do something as well. Okay, so enough of that. Jump into the workflow builder, then you've got when. And you've got the record action, date and time, record score, record notes. You've got a bunch of different triggers for the automation. So we're going to do record action for our example of when a lead is created, then send a welcome email. Well, we want to do record action when a lead is created. So we've got that, right? We're in the leads module. Execute this rule when a lead is created. When lead is created, then send welcome email. We're going to do all leads here, but I could do a condition that's the if, right? So when, if, it's this condition, but this is the if, and then, which is the action. So all leads. Now we have instant action, scheduled action, so we can delay the action or send it immediately. And from here, I can go notify via email, lead welcome email, associate. And now I have the lead welcome email that sends to the lead. And we've effectively accomplished what we set out to do here. This is impactful, right? Because it's probably not a 10 on impact, but it's probably like a 6, right? So it just barely meets that threshold for a quadrant 1, low effort, high impact automation. When a lead comes in the door, I want to send them a welcome email and say, thank you so much for signing up. We'll be reaching out to you shortly, whatever it might be. And so from here, we've got the lead email. You can even see it. Here's the test welcome email. Welcome company name to the company name family. This is still a template, but you get the idea. You can view the template that you're sending there, and then I can save it. And there we go. I have created an automation, impactful for the organization, didn't take a lot of effort. So it was a low-hanging fruit activity. And we also talked about the strategy behind making that decision. So by the time you're actually automating and someone comes to you and said, why did you spend your time doing that? Could have been doing a million other things. You could say, well, look at this effort impact matrix. And my reasoning behind why this was impactful was X, Y, and Z. And that way you can have a smart discussion about the decisions you made instead of saying, I don't know, I just thought it'd be interesting. I saw the new feature and I thought we'd just try it out. No, you want to be strategic and have a good case for why you're automating what you're automating, because some things aren't worth automating and a lot of things aren't worth spending your time. What we did is really simple. Most of the time, automation is extremely complex and it gets really messy really fast. So you want to have a good case for why you're doing something and why you're setting out to accomplish something before you actually do it. One of the biggest issues with people's tech stack, which is just the technology that they are using, in their certain function of the business. So maybe you're the solopreneur, you're the only person in your organization, you're also the entrepreneur, and you have five different applications. That would be a low amount of applications. But if you had, one platform, five different applications that you were using to run your business, that would be your technology stack. Technology is oftentimes siloed. Maybe you're in an organization where you have 500 applications that you're using. The more integrated your system, the better. Integration isn't a binary, a system's never perfectly integrated. But on a continuum or on a scale, you want to make sure you're sliding towards more integrated than not integrated. The less integrated you are, the more you have to jump around, the less efficient you are. Time is money, so you don't want to spend a lot of time doing things that could be done automatically via integration. So that's the case for integration, right? And that is the other feature that is a must-use feature inside of Zoho, which is its ability to integrate inside of Zoho CRM. So there's a lot of different touch points for integrations here, but I'm going to take you through the marketplace and show you a couple of them, namely the Zoho integration, Google, and Microsoft. So I'm going to open these all up in new tabs, and we're going to go over each of them individually. So the first one is Zoho integrates well with other Zoho applications. So you can see here are all the applications that Zoho CRM plays nicely with out of the box in terms of integration. You can go in here and manage them accordingly. So we're not going to go through every single one. I just wanted to show you there's a section in Zoho CRM for setting up these integrations. Unfortunately, they are not integrated out of the box. And that's where Zoho One, if you're familiar with Zoho One, Zoho offers 50 plus of its applications for a very low price. It's its flagship offering to the world. You can get the most amount of our software for a very small price. It's not integrated out of the box, which is unfortunate. And people wonder why. Like, why isn't Zoho One? Why isn't the customer database the same throughout all the applications? And that is a really deep rabbit hole that I'm not going to go down. But the gist of it is, it's not integrated. And so you need to integrate different applications, even within the Zoho ecosystem, with each other. It's not going to be done automatically for you. So the way that you take advantage of the integrations is you go through here and you set up the Zoho Projects integration, you set up the Zoho Desk integration, and you set up the integrations for the applications that you're actually using. And this is the Zoho section for doing so. Now, you also have the ability to integrate with other productivity suites. So let's say you're using Google as an example. What's really nice is if you go to setup, you can see in Marketplace, you've got one for Google. You can integrate with Google quite nicely. You can integrate with Google Contacts, Google Calendar, Google Ads, Chrome extension for Gmail. There's so much opportunity to integrate with these larger platforms that most people are using, like Google or Microsoft. So Microsoft is the other one that the other major platform that you can integrate with. So Office 365, you can integrate your meetings, contacts, tasks. You can add the Zoho CRM Outlook. I think it's an add-in instead of an extension like for Google. I'm not a big Microsoft person, but if you are in Outlook, you want to be able to contextualize the emails with Zoho CRM information. So you can do that as well with this Outlook add-in. Then you can integrate with Word if you really wanted to. Not sure why you would, but you could do that if you needed to. So that is the integrations that you can set up out of the box within Zoho. Now, just to give you a sneak peek of what Zoho is capable of doing, you can also use a product called Zoho Flow. And Zoho Flow allows you to integrate with hundreds of different applications in hundreds of different ways. So if you're not seeing an application here that you're like only Google, Microsoft, and Zoho, I wanted to integrate this with Zoho, check out Zoho Flow. I have other videos that go in depth on how Zoho Flow works, namely my Zoho One overview. So if you want to go through the Zoho One overview, I have like a Zoho Flow section there. I'm sure down the road, I'll do like a Zoho Flow video, but Zoho Flow allows you to integrate on multiple different ways with Zoho CRM with multiple different applications, like literally hundreds of applications. So with that is how you can take advantage of integrations. And that is a must-use feature within Zoho CRM. There's so much that goes into Zoho, it just makes your head spin. And so I've created a training called ZTraining. It's on my website. You can simply go to drewbrockbank.com and you'll see a ZTraining section. And if you are looking for better training, go ahead and fill out this form. I'll send you an email with the link to access the training. And I will also, if you'd like to, I'll send you different updates on Zoho, the different content I'm creating, because you fall to the level of your training. You don't rise to the capabilities of Zoho, so you need better training. If you're going to use a robust system like Zoho, you can't expect to get much out of it if you don't know how to use it. So with that, get ZTraining. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.